Hey everyone, welcome back to today's Explainer. Today, we are unpacking an incredibly fascinating piece of source material that maps out what honestly feels like an epic modern-day quest. We are diving into a complete playbook on the concept of stepping entirely out of the spotlight to achieve ultimate personal growth. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the constant noise of the world and had that sudden urge to just unplug, go silent, and focus purely on rebuilding yourself from the ground up, well, this source material breaks down exactly how that operates, step by step. Which brings us right away to this stark, provocative question: what actually happens when you completely disappear? The playbook hooks us immediately by challenging us to consider the exhilarating possibility of secretly becoming the next version of ourselves. Not by broadcasting our journey to the world or seeking constant encouragement online, but by actively vanishing from public view to rebuild in absolute secret. It's a truly radical approach to self-improvement. Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap. We'll be navigating this through 5 distinct phases. 1. The power of disappearing. 2. How to disappear completely. 3. Surviving in the shadows. 4. Executing your transformation. And finally, 5. The reappearance paradox. Starting us off is Section 1, the power of disappearing, and exactly why you need to hide. This playbook offers a pretty distinct view on human sociology. It argues that the more you open your life up for display, the more people naturally find a way to drag you down. And it frames this not necessarily as malice, but just as a natural sociological phenomenon. So, what's the proposed solution? Stepping entirely away from the public gaze. The material presents stepping into the shadows as this intensely powerful, necessary act of self-preservation, just to stop others from hindering your potential. Now, you've probably heard this strategy categorized under popular trending terms like ghost mode or monk mode. The source defines this specifically as committing to becoming the next version of yourself in secret, essentially crushing it in the shadows. And look, this isn't framed as just taking a weekend off social media for a quick mental health break. No way. It's presented as a highly clinical, intense, and long-term strategy engineered for massive, undeniable personal growth. Moving on to Section 2, how to disappear completely. Let's get into the strict rules. This extreme methodology is actually built on 5 incredibly strict tenets. Shut your mouth, care only what you think, hide your plans, hide your progress, and hide your tears. These are all perfectly designed to completely isolate your energy and redirect every single ounce of your attention entirely inward. Focusing on that very first rule, this playbook requires a total lockdown on your outgoing information. It claims that while our natural survival instinct, which is literally coded deeply into our species, is to share information and spill our thoughts to those around us, we have to actively fight that habit entirely. You are instructed to literally catch thoughts before they even leave your mouth, turning yourself into a complete mystery, even to your closest friends, family, and coworkers. And this leads us to a major psychological shift, moving from a puppet mindset to a shadow mindset. The question is, are you a puppet to society's expectations? To cut those strings, the playbook requires you to create an idealized version of yourself in your mind, and then obsess strictly over what that specific version thinks of you. You stop caring about the crowd completely, and you only care about your own manufactured internal judge. Think about the last time you shared a big goal. This playbook claims that every single time a detail of your plan leaks out, it reduces your chances of success by an arbitrary but super fascinating 5%. It advises treating your ambitions as if they were literal passwords to a hidden treasure. By speaking about your plans, you might be satisfying everyone else's curiosity, but you are actively hurting your own potential. The rules for your actual progress are totally ruthless too. Do not show off an improved physique. Do not display new wealth. Keep your newly acquired skills completely hidden, and box in all that extra energy to fuel the next level. The warning here is crystal clear. Seeking validation mid-transformation will instantly reverse your momentum and risk putting you right back at square one. All right, Section 3, surviving in the shadows and enduring the pain. This part of the journey absolutely does not sugarcoat the mental fatigue that will kick in during this extreme isolation. The material uses this incredibly striking quote, "Shut the metaphorical pie hole and bleed, sweat, and cry all by your lonesome." That imagery really perfectly illustrates the absolute self-reliance required here. When you hit a wall or experience failure, your natural instinct might be to seek comfort from friends or family. Instead, the methodology demands you patch your own wounds with your own first aid kit in the shadows, using that raw isolation to build unshakable strength. This mindset requires completely reframing failure. As the guide puts it, let each moment of rock bottom be the moment that catapults you to another level of performance. Notice how pain isn't presented as a setback here. It's identified as the exact necessary catalyst you need to unleash a true beast mode version of yourself. You aren't just instructed to endure the pain, you're told to actively look forward to it. Let's move to Section 4, Executing Your Transformation, and the actionable steps to get there. Now that we enter the execution phase, the actionable steps become rigorous and super demanding. You must pick highly specific targets, like getting absolutely unrecognizable physically or building a money-printing business. Then you have to revolve every single waking hour around crushing that goal and fundamentally reprogram your mind to love the pain. It's an all-encompassing, urgent system that demands your absolute, undivided focus on those targets. At this point, obsession is mandatory. You are expected to execute extreme lifestyle changes just to optimize your environment. The source literally suggests relocating your actual apartment just to be closer to your gym. It wants you joining highly specific classes for skill acquisition and strictly time-boxing your entire day. Every single breath and intentional action has to be dedicated to this relentless routine. And to sustain that exhausting pace, we see this fascinating shift in thinking. Happiness actually is crushing it. You are told to reprogram your mind to genuinely enjoy the pain of the process and find immense comfort in being completely unseen. This psychological rewiring isn't presented as just a temporary coping mechanism, but as a mandatory permanent part of the positive transformation process. Which brings us to our last phase, Section 5, the reappearance paradox and the final twist. Here is the grand twist, as laid out by the playbook. By the time you are fully transformed and ready to shock the world, you simply won't care to reappear at all. There is a profound irony built into this whole methodology. You initially vanish with the motivation to impress society upon your triumphant return. But the very process of transforming in the shadows completely destroys your need for society's validation. You literally outgrow the desire for applause. So your new reality ends up looking like this. You become one with the shadow. You naturally keep pushing toward bigger and better goals. You remain a total mystery to most people around you, and you enjoy a calming peace that's far greater than anything you experienced before. The shadows are no longer a temporary hiding place for a project. They become a permanent, peaceful home of continuous, quiet self-improvement. All of this leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to ponder. If you stepped into the shadows today, who would emerge tomorrow? The power of disappearing is presented by this guide as a radical, demanding, yet deeply transformative tool. It definitely requires giving up the spotlight completely, but it promises a version of you entirely detached from the endless noise of the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I hope it gave you some incredible food for thought. And as always, keep learning.